What happened was we got the second congressman. We got reapportioned for that, and I was actually in the legislature when we did that, voted on that, and that was sort of interesting. I get this call from my mother one day. She's 61 years old, right? And she says, "How's the reapportionment bill going?" And it's like, "Well, fine. Why?" And she says, "Well, I'm thinking of running for Congress." And it's like, "What? What?" And she said, "Yeah, but I want to make sure that the lines are drawn the right way because, you know, that determines a district." And we were discussing cutting the state north to south along the western border, which would have split every town, Reno, every major town, all the way through Las Vegas, which would have meant that both the congressmen would have come from Las Vegas because of the population, versus cutting it east to west, and then the north part of the state would get a congressman, and then Las Vegas would have one, basically Clark County. And that was how we ultimately decided it. And she still got 17 counties. She was still part of the north part of Las Vegas because of the population. You have to have them equal. So when we did that, and Paul Laxalt encouraged her, he suggested that she actually run, and she'd run his office. She campaigned all over the state for him and other Republican candidates. So she understood the issue. She knew a lot of people. She'd been involved in the community. I can't say it was an easy step at 61, but you know, she and George Vukanovich, by then Ken Dillon had died, and she and George had been married quite a few years, and they talked it over and decided that it was okay and he'd support her, and she went ahead. When she ran for office, she was concerned that because she didn't have a college degree, that would be a detriment, but she did not find that to be the case. When she went to Congress, you jockey for committee assignments, and it depends on who else wants what. And she always said Congress is very provincial because you represent a district, and it's a small district. It's not a state. It's not like a senator. So you have various interests, and so not everybody's interested in the same things. And Nevada, the northern part of the state, is all resources. It's either mining or grazing or, water, everything, hiking, the great outdoors is really the district. And of course, Reno's the big city in it, but you have to represent all those people. And so she wanted to be on it's now called the Resources Committee. It was Interior Committee in those days. And John McCain, who was elected the same year from Arizona, had the same interests. And so they, I won't say had a little fight, but there was a lot of tension back and forth as to who was going to get the seat. And the final compromise was they expanded the committee. So they both got a seat. And so that was one way to do it. And of course then seniority is really important, and you have to pay your dues as you go. It doesn't matter whether you're a man or a woman. You have to, show that you're reliable. You're not some nut job that's going to go off and do something crazy or embarrass anybody or anything. And Bob Michel was the minority leader because the Republicans were in the minority when she was elected. And he was very fond of her. He thought she was a common sense, brought a lot of, not a lot of politics to it, just was a good, solid Republican that he could count on. So he appointed her to a lot of things that she, was able to do. And she was voted the third most likely to succeed or something of the freshman class. She tied with somebody else. I can't remember now who. And then she was part of the Young Turks again, which she just loved at 60 some odd. And that was Newt Gingrich and all the conservatives who, really wanted to change the House and the way things were being done. And so with him, she was able to become elected the conference secretary, which is not the person taking the notes, but it's the person at the table who's part of the leadership. And that was, she was the first woman, she was the first Nevadan to serve in any leadership position like that in the House. So that was good. And then when they became the majority, the Republicans in '94, then Newt Gingrich gave her a lot of more appointments. And of course, she ultimately made it to the Appropriations Committee, which it's the premier committee.